Greetings, Glitter Gang, and happy Thursday. Welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and I'm here with Miss Kitty. She's running around on the floor chirping at me because she wants me to give her pets. And this is the Vintage Staples album continuation. And so far what we've done is we've had some episodes on how to make all the various different vintage staples that I was planning on using in this book, as well as covering the pages with chipboard and getting started on some of the inserts. So it now has rings. These are 2-inch black rings, and they're too big for the album right now. We'll see if we can stuff it with enough stuff where they're not too big for the album. But so far we've done one insert. And that is this one. So there's room for 4 photos here. And then this one has some journaling on the back as well. So can all go in there. All right, now we also last Monday, because we had a show on Monday, we worked with this pocket. All right, and so we have an insert that will hold 2 more 4x6 photos. This is a tag, and I have a video on how to do tags. I have another insert that's a journaling spot, another one that's a ticket. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to make a bag like this. Okay, and I'm going to try and use the punch board to get this notch that's on the front and the back. We'll see how close I can get it. So that's what this video will be. So this video hopefully will be a little bit shorter than some of the others. I hope you're all doing well. Let me see if I have any vellum in this house. Do I, Kitty? Do I have any vellum? Do you know, Miss Kitty? Do you know if there's any vellum in here? Do you? She's like, no, why are you talking to me? Ugh, you're so dumb. She's like, how did you just like do anything before I came into your life? Oh, I think this is vellum. Oh, I think this is vellum. Oh, wow. Guess who's in my chair? Can you get on my chair, please? Huh? Can you get on this desk? Can you get on this desk, please? Please? Can you please get on the desk? I'm going to have to pick you up if you don't, and you don't like getting picked up. All right. There you go. Okay. So, I have almost certainly found a pack of vellum. Okay, well, I did find a pack of vellum. It is my fancy wood grain vellum. Kitty's scratching you guys on the monitor. So she's just scratching away. Hello, miss. Hello. Hello. Huh? Hello. Hi. Are you scratching their eyeballs? Are you scratching their eyeballs? You mean Kitty? Mean Kitty. Mean, 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 mean. Hi. Now, to be fair to Kitty, she was already up here sleeping when I got up here. And I woke her up when I dropped something on the floor because I didn't know she was up here. So technically she was here first. Can you guys hear her purring? Kitty purrs. ASMR. Kitty ASMR purrs. Are you doing kitty ASMR? I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's working, Kitty. I don't know. All right, so let's take some measurements. I'll just craft on this little corner over here. It's fine. Hey, hi. Okay. All right. What's going on? You want to jump down? You gonna jump down? No, you're not gonna jump down. Okay. Well, okay. So there is. Hey. Okay. So our pocket is 6.5 in the front. My guess is in the back that it's 7, but let's double check. Yeah, it's 7 in the back. Okay, so the dip is 6.5 in the front, and the hump in the back is 7, and then it's 5 inches wide. So, all right, so what is this? A glassine bag? It is now. Oh, treat bags. That's what they were called back in the day. Okay, so that's the shape. So this is 6.5, and then this is 7.5. 7, just 7, right? And then this is 7, and then this is 5. All right, so I'm going to make this, because it's 5, because it's 5 by 7. Now we can make it out of one piece if I'm okay with the wood grain running in this direction. But I would need two pieces if I wanted the wood grain to run in a different direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give dimensions 2 ways. So we'll say 1 piece. So to do it out of 1 piece, we'd need something that was 11 inches wide. And 7.5 inches tall. So you need 1 piece that was 7.5 by 11. And then we're going to score the 7.5 inch side just at 7 inches. And then we're going to score the 11 inch side at, let's see, if we want it to be something 5 inches something. So 11 minus 5 is 6. So we would score at 3 and at 8. Okay, so that's 1 piece. So for 2 pieces, we would need a piece that is 6 inches wide by 7, no, 6 inches wide by 7, yeah, 6 inches wide by 7, 6 inches by 7. And then for the back, we'd need a piece that was 5 by 7. Okay, and then we would score this one on the score on the 6 inch at 1/2 of an inch and 5.5. And then on this one is not no score. Oh wait, this is by 7.5. And then we score the 7.5 at 7. Okay, and then this one is no score. Okay, so there you go. There's the instrucciones. So let's make a couple bags. Let's start with the 1 piece, and then we'll move on to the not 1 piece. So for the 1 piece, I need a piece that's 7.5 So by 11. So this is 8.5 by 11, so I'll just cut an inch off. And this wood grain vellum is by a company called Gmund, Gmund. If I recall correctly. Okay. All right, so here's my 7.5 inch by 11 inch piece. And I'm going to score at 3 inches and 8 inches on the long side. And Vellum does change color when you score it. It's just how it is. So don't worry about that. And then I'm going to score the 7.5 inch side at 7. Reminder that there is no show tonight. No show tonight. All right, let's fold along these score lines and burnish. And we're going to burnish gently just to crisp it up. But I don't want to put so much pressure on it that I'm messing up the embossing of the wood grain. Okay? And then we'll fold up from the bottom. Okay. All right, now we are going to be removing these 2 corners, and I will also remove the score lines when I do that. And I'm going to put the score line at 1/8 of an inch on my mat. And I'm going to, on my trimmer. And I'm going to cut up to the score line to remove it. And I'm going to cut down to the score line to remove it. And the reason I put my score line at 1/8 is just so when these fold over, there's just more room. So when I fold this bottom up, it's cuter looking. And then I'm going to put tape on this bottom piece, and then I'm going to chomp the edges. And the tape's going to go on this on the inside so that when it's folded over to the back, it's on the back. And then also put tape on this edge and this edge. Okay. So I'm going to do 3/8 inch tape on the 1/2 inch piece on the bottom. And then I'm going to do 1/4 inch tape on the 2 flaps. Now, if I wanted to, I could, you know, cut a 1/2 inch strip off of one edge so that, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Just to make it more narrow, and then I can just use a 3/8 inch strip. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. So what that would change, if you wanted to do that where you didn't have to remove that 1/2 inch later, what that would change on your instructions here is instead of being 11 inches, it would be 10. And you would still score at 3 1/8. And then you would have a 2.5 inch flap on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, now I'm not going to peel this because I still have stuff to do. So namely, I'm going to angle these corners. Well, maybe I want to round them so that they look more like the punch board. Yeah, I think I'll round them. I'm going to use the 1/4 inch, see how I like it. And if I think it's too small, I'll use the 1/2 inch. Yeah, I think that's a little too small. Let's go back with the 1/2 inch. Okay. That did not cut all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and chomp that again. When do I see the show? I'm not going to see a show. I'm going to, this is the weekend of Mr. Lifeguard's conference. So we're just going on a little vacation ahead of the conference. The conference is in Orlando. So we're just going on a little vacation ahead of the conference. And then we are coming back on Wednesday. Coming back on Wednesday. And then our May show is on Friday the 27th, May 27th. So that's when we go see our May show. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put my score line at 1 inch and chomp. And then I'm going to flip it over and put the opposite score line at 1 inch and chomp. Okay, and so that's going to be, and you can see it didn't cut all the way through. Vellum, you know, is plasticky. So it's not always going to punch. You can help it by backing it with paper if you want. Okay, so that's going to give us our dip. But now, oh no, we have to get our hump. Oh, sorry. Okay, so flip it over. So put this score line at 1 inch so it's going to chomp the flap. Okay. And then same thing, flip this over. I think we're going to have to, okay. Yeah, we're going to have to do some minor things. Okay, so, ooh, I don't like it 1 inch. I would prefer right on the score line, I think, is what I would prefer. So, unfortunately, that would mean I would have to do it again to see how it would look. So I'm just going to cut the top off it so my sample will be a little shorter, but this way we'll get to see how it would look. I'm going to try and tell you exactly where to chomp so we get this exact look. Okay. So I'm thinking we chomp right on the score line. So I would line the score line up with the hole. And that didn't chomp very well at all. So let me get a paper scrap. And see if that helps me out. All right, there we go. Okay. So you can see how I got a nice clean notch. All right, there we go. Yeah, the back looks better instantly. See how now it has that arch? So for your back, you want to do right on the score lines, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna trim the sides. So I'm going to line the dip up. I'm going to cut up to the first one and then down to the next one. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so now our bag looks like this. Oh, I chomped the back. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now my seam is on the front, so well, I should have removed the middle. All right, let's do it again. Let's just keep doing it. This is just going to get shorter and shorter. This is the worst tutorial of all time. That's fine. Okay. Woo! Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so we are still going to chomp right on the score line, and I've put my little stunt cardstock back there to help it go all the way through. And then, all right, there we go. Now, last time I cut off the flaps, but if I want the back to be where the seam is, I actually have to cut in between the flaps. Okay, that's what happened. So I'm going to line it up just the same as I lined it up before, where I line up the dips in the punches with the wire on my trimmer. And then I remove what's now the front. Okay, we did it. All right, we're getting there. All right, so now we have the back. Okay, back is all good. Back looks like this, actually. Okay, so the back's all good. And now if we want to get a matching, like corresponding divot in the front, that's what we're gonna work on. So, I mean, we're gonna get a bag that really looks like this, the original glassine bag. It's gonna be a lot shorter, but okay. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of bend it back on itself a little bit, because I want to get this score line at 1 inch, without these flaps being in the way. So I have to allow the flap to rise up. So that's why I've folded them up. Okay. All right. Perfect. So now I can do the same. I've just got to fold it back the other way. Again, so that the flap can rise up. So I'm still lining my score line up, but there we go. All right. So now when I cut this middle bit, it should look very bag-like. So once again, we're going to just line it up so that the bottoms of the divots are lined up with my wire. And then I'll just remove that. Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Ta-da! Look at that. Look at that perfect wood grain glassine bag. All right. So now all we do is we just close it up. All right. So there we go. Literally all I have to do is just peel the tape from here and from here, and I can just close the bag, and we've recreated it. Again, use these measurements. Ten and a half. Yeah. So the first punches, let's make one correctly from start to finish so that we have a good reference. So let me make one more one piece. Okay. So I'm going to cut this to 7.5. That way we have a good record. So let me make it correctly without making any mistakes. No pressure. No pressure. All right. So this is 7.5 by, and now I need to cut it this time. I'm going to cut it down to 10.5. All right, so this is now 7.5 by 10.5. Technically it's 10.5 by 7.5. 10.5 by 7.5. Score on the 10.5 inch edge at 3 inches and 8 inches, okay? And then score on the 7.5 inch at 7. Okay. Then fold along all your score lines and burnish. And again, just gently, okay. Okay. Now we're going to remove these little corner bits. And the way that we remove those corner bits is I'm going to put my score line at 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to cut up from the bottom to the first score line. And then down from the top to that score line up there. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut them free. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to do our punching. Okay. So, for that, we need our punch board and our little punch cardstock. And we're going to punch right on the score line. Right on the score line. Okay? So just line your score line up with the hole and punch. And do it for both of them. Okay. Then just set that to the side for a second and get your punch or your trimmer. And you're going to put this in your trimmer. You're going to line up the bottom of the dips of the notches you just cut with your wire and then cut from notch to notch. Okay. All right. What that's going to do is that's going to raise up the back. All right. So now the back is raised up glassine bag style. It very much looks like a glassine bag at this point. Okay. Then we're going to put the notches in the front that cause the front to dip. Where's the one I just made? Did I throw it away? Okay. The notches in the front that cause that dip. That's what we're doing now. So those need to be done at 1 inch, okay? So what I'm going to do, I need to line this score line up with the 1 inch. So this needs to float up above the punch board. So I need to make sure that score line is right up against that 1 inch so that this lower part is flat against the top. See how this floats up above? That's what I need, okay? And then I'm going to flip it over to the other side. Just going to bend this back so it can float up above. Once again, see how it's up and then this is flush against the top, and then punch. And the reason I'm punching through this is because with the vellum, it just gets a cleaner cut if you punch through a cardstock. All right, then back to the trimmer. Line these two notches up with the wire, just like we did before. And then cut from notch to notch. All right, and now you have something that looks like this. And when you fold it closed, you have your glassine bag, okay? All right, so now all we have to do is add our tape. So we're gonna add 3/8 of an inch of tape to this edge, the edge that folds over, okay? And then to the bottom as well. And then if you want your bottom piece to have you know, a decoration, of course, just use a corner chomper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use an angle punch this time because I think I'll like an angle better than... And I don't actually like the angle better, but I feel like I may be stuck with it. Yeah, I'm stuck with it. All right, that's fine. So I like the rounder. I prefer the 1/2 inch round of all the ones that I've tried. All righty. so now all we have to do is remove the tape and stick it together. Okay. And what I was just doing there is when I stuck them together, I made sure that they lined up at the top, and that caused this corner to need to be adjusted out a little bit. So what I did is I held the seam down and then scored out from the seam that I was holding down, and that kind of flattened this in the way where it's square. Okay. All right. So this should now be just about the same size as the glassine treat bag, vellum treat bag I used last week. So let's take a look. See if I can grab one of those. This is by the same brand. It's just cardstock, not vellum. Oh, perfect. Ta-da! Okay, and then of course this is made out of craft paper. So you could just, if you wanted it to look like craft, you could just make it out of craft. Now, or pattern paper, whatever you want. If you wanted to have glitter hearts on it or glitter stars on it or whatever, the way that they did that, this one has glitter stars on it. The way that they did that is they just stamped with embossing ink, and they used metallic embossing powder, and they embossed the vellum. Okay? When you emboss vellum, it can like get out of shape a little bit. That just gives it a more crinkly look. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know, if you want it more crinkly or less crinkly. Okay, so there's the vellum bags. All right, so we've got it done as one piece. So if you have an 8.5 by 11 sheet and a punch board, you can do this. You can recreate these bags. I actually love them in the wood grain. Let me put my hand in it so you can see it a little bit better. So that is a cool look, adds additional texture, so that is nice. All right, now, okay, what I said I would show you how to make it out of 2 pieces. So like if you were using scraps or whatever, so I guess I will do that. All right, so now we need a 6" by 7.5" piece and a 5 by 7" piece. Why did I say, oh, so that you could get the wood grain going in the opposite direction if that's what you wanted. Okay, so whereas with this one, the wood grain is going this way, with this one, I can now make the wood grain go that way. So this 2-piece may be useful to you if you have a specific pattern of paper that's directional and you need to know what to do. So my next piece that will form the back will be 5 by 7. All right, so first things first, the back, this is the back, this smaller piece, this 5 by 7 piece, okay? So we will chomp here and here. But first let's go ahead and score this. So this is the front, the piece that gets scored is the front. So the piece that gets on the front gets scored on the 6" edge at 1/2 and 5.5. And then on the 7.5 inch edge at 7. And that's how it becomes 5 by 7. Okay. And same thing, we're gonna fold it. And when I'm folding it, I'm lining it up with the top, making sure that the top is lined up. Okay. It's a lot easier to fold this way because I'm quite literally going with the grain. Okay. All right, and now I'm just going to remove these corners. And actually with these, I'm going to go ahead and angle them the way I normally would when making a pocket. So I'm going to put my tape on my flaps, all 3 of my flaps. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut through this. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the X that's made by the 2 score lines and I'm just going to cut straight through it. Okay, and then what that does is it gives me 2 edges that meet very neatly. All right, now, okay, so how do we punch this one? And that's a good question. So we're gonna, this one gets punched right on the edge. So just put the edge of your piece in right on the center of the hole on both sides. So this is the 5 by 7 unscored piece. And that's all that happens to this. It just gets chomped like that. Done. That's done. Okay, so this piece is getting chomped on the score lines, just like we did on the last piece. Let me think about this. Just give me 1 second to think if that is what I want to do. Actually, this 5 by 7 piece should really be like a hair less than 5 by 7 so that it fits in between the score lines. Even 1/8 of an inch less would be better. So let's call it 4 7/8. All right. So I'm just going to quickly shave it, give it a shave. And then just so I don't have to repunch it, I'm going to shave like a 1/16 of an inch off either side. More like a 32nd of an inch. No, it's more like a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. All right, so, and I'm actually, let's do 6 7/8 as well instead of 7. That way it kind of floats inside. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, that's fine. Okay. Now, come here. Okay, yeah, that's better. So now when I fold it over, it doesn't bunch up, which is what I wanted because I have room on the sides and on the bottom. Okay, that's fine. So now what I want is I want to notch the corner, notch the score lines. I do want to do that. The reason I want to notch the score lines is because that is going to tell me where to cut across so that this doesn't poke up in the back. Okay. My punch board better not be dying. Okay. All right. So now go ahead and put this on your trimmer. Same thing as before. Line the two dips up and then just cut in from the top and bottom to get rid of those little poking up bits. And then that way, when it's all perfectly cut and folded to the back, see, these won't poke up over the top. Okay? All right. So that's why we cut those little notches. All right. Now, actually, we can just cut all the way across because this is the front and we have to cut it anyway. So just cut all the way across. You don't have to cut from dip to dip. Just cut all the way across at the height of the dip. Okay, now we're going to put our score line at 1 inch, just like we did before. And we're going to cut our dip for the front. And it's a lot easier this time around because we don't have anything poking up to contend with. Okay. Sometimes if your punch gets stuck, you just have to hit it really hard. Okay, so now we get the trimmer again. And by the way, mass producing these is going to be the way to go, you know, because then you can do each step so you're not constantly switching tools. So, you know, make yourself a dozen of these or whatever. All right, now we've cut from dip to dip. So now we've on the front removed the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up the bottom edge of the slope with the top edge of the slope. Okay. And we're just going to center it side to side. And fold it over. And then I'm just going to lay it flat again. And then fold it up. Okay. And then once that's been done, we can do the bottom. Okay. And then now we have a nice little bag. Once again, we have our bag, but this time we were able to choose the direction of our paper because we used 2 pieces. Okay. So basically, this is the 1-piece version and the 2-piece version. Now the 2-piece version actually looks cleaner because we don't have the stripe going up the back. But you know, theirs has a stripe going up the back. If you look at theirs, in fact, theirs is quite a gross looking stripe because their adhesive has turned yellow over the last 10 years. So, you know, that's just something to think about. So here's, here's our 2 bags. All right. So there we go. So there's the measurements. And just quickly let me know if you have any questions and I will answer them. And if not, we'll do a recording break here so that this is all by itself on one video so that you can come back to it and look at it. Of course, you know, once it's on YouTube or in the archives, you can pause, take a picture, whatever of the instructions there as well. So, okay, so I've shown you how to make the glassine bags. Let's go ahead now and continue on with decorating. So that will be it for this part. This part will be a reference part that shows you how to make the treat bags. So how to make another type of staple for your crafting. And in the next video, we'll be back to decorating and doing all of that stuff. So if you're watching on YouTube, everything pertaining to the Vintage Staples album will be in a playlist. So on my channel, there will be a Vintage Staples album playlist that has everything there for you to go back and forth and reference. And if you're watching in the archives, of course, it'll all be in a folder together. So thank you so much for watching. The next video will be up shortly. If you're watching live, just hang tight. Nothing's going to change for you. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. And if you're watching in the archives, thank you so much for being a member. Yes, I did use cover weight chipboard for the pages, not the lightweight stuff. Yeah, this is the graphics medium weight chipboard specifically. So that's the brand, GRAFIX graphics. So that's Golf, Romeo, Alpha, Foxtrot, India, X-ray. X-ray is kind of, I mean, you know, well, whatever. I guess don't really, you don't really you know what an X-ray is, so. But I do think it's a weird inclusion in the military alphabet because it's not exactly a word. It's just a letter plus the word ray. Anyways, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye now.